Javid, welcome back.
Liam, good to be back, man. How are you feeling?
Bro, I'm good. I'm excited. We're going to do some internal episodes. Guys, if
Yeah.
you're listening in, we're about to do some internal episodes. These are going to be fun. They're going to be lighthearted and just kind of go with whatever the topic is of today. I think Javid's got something cooking up for today, though. I'm excited.
The first thing that comes to mind is Liam, have you ever wanted to quit sales?
Quit sales? Yeah.
Yeah,
Simple
you
answer is
have?
yes. Oh, bro, yeah. Look, I think sales is one of those funny things, right? Some days you feel like an absolute warrior and you're like, man, I'm the king. And other days you're just like, oh, am I good at this? And it's funny because it doesn't matter how long you're in. Now it doesn't happen as much, but those first couple of years, you're like, not even self doubt, but just like, holy crap, what am I doing? Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No, 100%. I'd say it still happens to me. I can be super hot one week, closing a bunch of deals. Then next week, I'll have like 2 days where I just don't close shit. Then in the back of my head, I'm like, am I even a good salesperson, man? Is this for me? Should I quit? Like, did I just forget everything I've ever done in the past?
The
And I'm
answer is no,
like,
by the way.
and I'm like, should I even continue? I'm like, honestly, was it all luck the last 4 years? And like this is the reality after 2 bad days. So I've
Bro, it's funny because sales guys are so like that. It's like they'll be literally having like the best month of their life, and they'll have a donut. So a day they do zero, and they'll just like crumble. They'll be like, "Oh my goodness, no, am I not good enough anymore?" It's like, bro, no, it happens. You're allowed a bad day. You're
did I
allowed a bad.
forget everything that I've done in the past? All the training, everything. I forgot it all. Um, but I think that's part of the game. And if it was easy to be making 10 to 30K a month plus, I think everybody would be doing it. So I think dealing with that mental aspect of it is what makes somebody good at sales, and being able to deal with it. Obviously, what I said is kind of over exaggerated, but it happens and you just got to bounce back through it and kind of rewire your own brain at the same time, right? So on that note, like when you're going through like a slump where you're doing pretty hot, but then all of a sudden you have like a bad week or even a bad 2 weeks, or let's hope it's not a bad month, but even a bad month, right? Because they do happen.
Sure.
How do you kind of deal with that?
Oh, where's the alcohol? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, man. What I've learned, and I've dealt with it in so many different ways over time, right? But I think the best way that I deal with it now is realize that it's not a skill thing. Like it's very, very rarely a skill thing of why you go from being hot to not, right? It's almost always a state thing. And when I say state, I mean like your state of being, your energy, your flow of where you're coming from. So nowadays, man, if I'm having a bad slump, and I think this is really what happens as someone gets better at sales, it's not that they have less slumps, but it's that they bounce out of them quicker, right? Instead of a
100%.
slump lasting a week, a month, or even like 2, 3 days, it lasts maybe one call, maybe it lasts half a day, and then snap back into it. You know what I mean?
100%. I think that's what separates a good closer, from kind of a mediocre closer, is that ability to break out a slump much faster. Because what I used to find, what happened to me kind of when I first started selling, is I would go through like maybe a week slump, right? And what it should have been just a week or should have been just a few days, it turns into like a month. And I think that used to happen for me is simply because my process works because I've sold a lot, right? So I would have like a week where I've sold, let's say I had like a decent week. I did like 25, 30K that week in cash collected. And on to the next week, I would continue kind of being consistent. And then I'd have a great week where I can do like 50K cash collected, right? So I know my process works. But then I have one week where I'll do like 10K cash collected the entire week. And I'm trying to figure out like what went wrong. And because I'm trying to figure out what went wrong, I'm thinking, okay, like I need to change something, I need to fix something. Now what happens is I change absolutely everything in my process from setting the frame to the pitch to objection handling. And then from there, the slump that should have been just a week, because maybe it was just like a lower lead flow week, or maybe I just wasn't in the right state, as you said. But because I'm changing absolutely everything in my process, that week that should have been a slump for one week turned into a month, right? So I think what you said about being like understanding your state, and it's not really like it's almost, it is a state thing or a mental thing. Expand on that for me, because I'll tell you
Yeah.
what I did to kind of make the like what I do now is like if I'm having a couple of bad days, what I can do to bounce out of it. But like you expand on, the state aspect and breaking out of that state so the slump doesn't last a month.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing, man, and it comes from getting like a place of clarity, right? First, look at it logically. Okay, if I've been doing sales and I've been going well and I had a random off day, because that's how it starts. It starts with one day, right? Is that a spiral, right? Did I lose all my skills? Did everything change? Did I actually turn into the worst closer in the world? The reality is probably no, right? But what happens is people, they double down. They're like, "Oh gosh, today was bad, man. I have to close more tomorrow." And they put like this huge pressure on themselves that makes every call the next so important. It's like, "Oh my goodness, like this is so hard. We need to do it." Do you know what I mean? Where it's like the reality of what they need to do is just create a bit of space. So if I have a bad call, not even a bad day, if I have one bad call, I'm going to go step back. I'm going to get out in nature, hopefully go for a quick 5-10 minute walk. I'm going to chuck in some meditation music, maybe have a quick 5 minute meditation. I'm trying to remove all distractions, everything away from me, and just spend 5 to 10 minutes sitting, breathing, genuinely sitting and breathing, and allow myself to recenter. Because the funny thing is, man, the thing that sells more than skills, the thing that sells more than systems is the place that you come from. If you're coming from a place of abundance, feeling good and like, I'm going to help this person, you're going to get the deal. But if you're coming from a place like, man, I need to get this deal cuz I got bills to pay. Like, it's bad intention. You know what I mean? Like, it's coming from a bad place. You're like, "Oh man, I've been in a slump. I need to get out of it." Like, no, that's not the way to move forward. What you need to do, and going back to the state, is you just need to step back, right? You need to chill out. Maybe go for a dinner with the missus. Jump out, have a beer or two. Like, chill, so that way you can come back in and be like, "Okay, cool. Relax. Relax." Go into the next call very relaxed, and then it moves forward.
100%. I It comes down to when that slump happens, or you do have a bad call, or a bad whatever.
Mm.
You become so attached to the outcome, right? And I'm pretty sure every single offer, every single sales training out there, everything talks about detaching yourself from the outcome.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like misconceptions on what that actually means.
Man,
Not,
and to jump
yeah.
in though before that, like the biggest issue that happens is when someone's having a downward spiral and say they have a really good work ethic, because a lot of sales guys, they actually have a good work ethic, right? Like they know how to grind and they know how to push, right? But what happens is when they get into a slump, they think, "Okay, I normally take 40 calls a week. I need to take 80 calls next week." And they try to like double their workload. But the thing is, when you're trying to, and you're already in a messed up place, and you just add more onto your plate, it doesn't get you there. Like, you can't outwork a slump. Okay, I promise you. Like, if you're outworking slumps right now, it doesn't work. It will take a lot longer. And that's why slumps take, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even a month, God forbid. But what you can do is, if I'm having like a bad day, I'll try and reschedule 1 or 2 calls and literally just like half my load for a day or so. Literally, if it's really bad, I'll like reduce the amount that I'm doing, but then not just sit on my phone and scroll, not just watch some Netflix, not just sit there panicking, but like actually take some time to self-reflect. It's what I like to call creating space, right? And when I say creating space, what I mean is just allowing time for myself to sit and feel that emotion and realize, yeah, I do hate the way I feel right now. Like, I don't want to be in this way. I don't like the way this feels. But if you can sit there, address it, and just like do some meditation, man, literally just sit there, throw some music on, sit against the wall, chill out for a half hour, I promise you, your state will instantly change and you will feel better. Because clutter tends to make our life feel worse, not better.
Mental clutter, if that even.
Yeah.
That's interesting what you say. That's actually, I wouldn't know if it's unpopular opinion, but it's definitely a divided opinion. Because on the other side of that, there's people who are in the slums like, let me just increase my volume, let me do more outbound, do more this, do more that to get a sale in and then fix it. Which I don't think is inherently wrong either, right? I don't think it's inherently wrong either. I personally take the approach of taking a step back. Because when you're already not in a good state, what's going to happen is if you increase your volume, you're going to burn that volume. Because you're not in a good state. Your mind is cluttered, as you said. So you can go and take a bunch more calls and go from 40 to 80, but you're also burning that many calls simply because, number one, you're very attached to the outcome. Number two, because you're overthinking and you're cluttered, you're probably going to do a lot of things wrong. So when you say, I want to know what you mean by take a step back and get clear. Because when I do that, take a step back and get clear, it's like when I can feel myself getting very attached to the sale, right? I feel like I need to close, like I have, no matter what, I'm going to fucking close this next guy, right? And I do have that mindset to a certain extent, but it's almost to the extent of I'm going to perform my best on this call and be as present as I can.
And that's a much better way to say it.
Right? I'm going to be as present as I can, I'm going to be as present as I can on this call and perform the best that I can. Versus I'm going to do everything I fucking can to close this guy and get the piffin, right? Because then they can smell that, right? So when I do that shift, so I still keep that hunger, but I attach the hunger to something else versus like the actual sale itself. So when you say take that step back, to me, to get back in that state where I'm attaching myself to being present and actually, focusing on what's in front of me, I take that step back. Whether it's meditation, whether it's music, what I find works for me is either watching a bunch of my closed calls or just going right back to the basics, like going right back to the script and the frameworks that I know. So when you take a step back, like how do you interpret that, man?
That was a long-winded fucking question, bro.
It went on, so.
No, man, honestly, the way I interpret taking a step back is, when you start to feel like, and it gets described perfectly this way, but like when you start to feel like you have commission breath, or you start to feel like you're frustrated, right? These are all signs that I need to take that step and I need to create space, right? And what I mean by that is literally, do I need to reschedule my next call so I can take this next hour and reset for the whole day so I don't burn the rest of the day, right? Does this mean that this call I'm fighting this guy on right now and I know I have 20 minutes left, do I just wrap it up early so I can take the next 20 minutes and debrief and be ready for the next call? Like that's what I'm doing in each one. And it gets down to the point now where I only need 1 or 2 minutes in between calls to reset. Where it'll literally be, and this is a great technique if you find yourself getting overwhelmed, is it's called box breathing, right? So box breathing is where you go like in for 4 seconds, you hold 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, and then you hold for 4 seconds, and you just keep doing that like a box. And if you do that for 1 to 2 minutes, I promise you will instantly change your state. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. If you're getting overwhelmed, you're getting flustered, literally just box breathe. Control your breath, focus on nothing but your breath, and you'll take yourself back to being centered, if you will.
Yeah, box breathing it's huge. It's huge. And the reason why I find box breathing funny is where I learned box breathing. Just complete side note. I actually learned this when I was like 17 or 18 years old in summer camp from a kid in my camp who was 7 years old who had anger management issues. And he was having like a complete meltdown. His mom came in. His mom's like, Xavier, do box breathing. I'm like, yo, what's box breathing? And then when she told me that, I've actually brought that with me every single time. I think even when you're out of a slump, just being able to take 3 deep breaths before your next call can make a big difference, man.
Bro, it's the simple things, but it creates it's just so good. Because, I mean, the other side of it, right? Like you said, the other controversial side is like people say, oh, no, you just have to out-hustle it, right? But when you out-hustle it, there's working smarter and there's working harder. And all you're doing is you're activating your working hard brain. But if you're already someone that hustles, right, and you've already been hustling and you got into a slump, do you really think doing more of the same thing is going to fix it? No. Right? It can't. You have to do something different. So that something different is creating that space. Again, it's just like stepping back, allowing yourself to breathe, or thinking about it smart, right? And even maybe go do a call review and be like, oh, where was I missing stuff? That's another thing. Man, you want to get out of your slump? Go watch 5 of your best sales calls you've ever done. That will hype you up. You'll be like, that guy is a legend. I like that guy. He's a G. I'm going to just be him again because it is you. You know what I mean? That's what I do, man. If I'm ever like self-doubting myself, I'll pull up one of my best sales calls and I'll just watch it and I'll be like, oh yeah, yeah, I got this. And then I'll dive back in and I'm good to go.
I do that so often, man. Even if like something's wrong in my personal life and I'm not feeling good, and like there's something wrong in my personal life with whatever, I'll go and watch one of my best sales calls. Like, yo, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Like handling the craziest partner or the stupid thing about an objection, and how I overcame it. I'd watch those specific calls, even if it's like my personal life, something's wrong right there. I just feel like I'm that guy, and my energy and my confidence just goes way up. So I agree. How do you think you even mitigate having slumps in the first place? Like, how do you stay consistent the entire time? Can you mitigate never ever having a slump?
It's a great question. So I have kind of two opinions. One, I think people have slumps, but they're very, very small, right? It's like catching it at the end of a call, resetting yourself with some box breathing, understanding and clarifying, right? So that's the first way if you're noticing it's starting to come, because you can stop them when it's like 1 inch in rather than 1 mile. You know what I mean? The other side, man, is detaching from the outcome. And I know it gets talked about and it's so like fluffy. Like, what do you mean detach from the outcome? But like, if you genuinely get onto the call and be like, man, I close 30% of my deals, right? It may not be you, and that's okay. There's a 7 out of 10 chance I don't close you. 7 out of 10. That's a high likelihood. So why should I be sitting here struggling to close you and stressing about closing you? It doesn't make any sense, right? Because the likelihood is you won't close. Even if I'm a good closer and I'm at 50%, there's still a 50-50 chance you don't say yes, which is nuts. Like that's actually crazy that we beat ourselves up mentally, right? When we don't close at 50%, or even if we do close at 50%, that we don't close at 100%. But no one closes at 100%. It's not possible. And if you can come in from the mindset of like, hey, I want the best thing for this person. I just want to help them make the best decision. And if by the end of the call, I have done everything I could, I talked to them in the best way that I knew how, I explored all the options, I challenged them to be the person they told me they wanted to be, right? And I did all that, man, I consider it a win. You don't get a burnout. You get a burnout by attaching yourself to the outcome. You don't get a burnout by attaching yourself to the inputs. So I focus on the inputs of each call, right? Did I go through my process? Did I connect with this person? Did I have a good energy state? Did I go into the conversation with a good intention to actually help this person, or was I just trying to cram a commission? Did I have commission breath? Right? These are the things that I do to be able to make sure I don't ever go into a slump in the first place, is by focusing on my inputs rather than my outputs. And more importantly, not attaching my identity, right? The way that I feel, whether they close or not. Because some of my best calls, bro, I'll be honest, they didn't close. But I'm so proud of those calls because I'm like, holy crap. Like that guy, he was a legend on that call. The guy didn't close. I don't care. But like, I literally have a call recording. It's like a 3-hour call recording. And it's me objection handling this guy for 3 hours, sitting in fear, where he was so afraid. But every time, like I had the authority, I had the buy-in, right? And I just sat in the pocket and I was feeling so good. And I came off the call and most people would be exhausted. Most people would be like, oh my gosh, like that was so draining. And I was like, that was great. I just like changed this guy's life. And I talked to him like 6 months later. He didn't end up buying the program, but he had changed his whole life around. He's like, hey man, I just wanted you to know, like, I really changed things. Like I was operating from such a place of fear. And I felt like after our conversation, I'm operating from a place of abundance again. So for me, that's such a bigger win than doing it on the other side, if that makes sense.
It 100% does. And I think the burnout thing makes a lot of sense too. Because you don't really get burnt out when you're talking to a friend or you're talking to a family or whatever. You don't really get burnt out from those conversations, right? How burnout happens is when you're so pushing, so attached to the end goal of the outcome. But first, when you're focusing on just helping the person make the best decision and having the conversation, that's how you can go back-to-back calls when you're just focusing on the conversation in front of you. So I think that makes a huge sense because I would have some of those. I'd have calls where I'm objection handling for like an hour, 2 hours, and I'm just burnt the fuck out. I can't even focus on my next call. Then I have calls and I'll rejection handle for the same amount of time, but it's coming from a different place. It's coming from a place of genuinely trying to shift their perspective and help them understand how their current way of thinking is not going to benefit them if those are the goals that they want to reach. So I think the whole burnout aspect of it makes a lot of sense, and the detaching outcome of it makes sense too, man. Interesting.
Hey, bro. What's your what's your funniest burnout story? Like, what was the worst slump you ever got into?
The worst slump I ever got into?
While you do that, I'm gonna eat some of this caramel. My wife just made homemade caramel.
Homemade caramel is crazy. I don't know if I can have like a worst slump that ever comes to mind. I can. What I would say though, it's not worst slumps that comes to mind. It's like stupid triggers.
Ooh, all right. What's
that
what's
makes
the
sense.
stupidest trigger that sent you?
Like, it's not okay. When I say stupid triggers, they're stupid to me in this aspect.
Yeah, sure.
But like a stupid trigger would be when I first started, it would be I'd have a call where I think I did well, but I didn't close it. And then I'd be on like the sales meeting getting a call review, right? And then on the call review, like the sales manager would dig into me completely.
Yeah.
Into me completely. And looking back where I am now, I can be able to take that constructive criticism and implement it, right? But back then I'm like, man, I thought I did so well in this call. They just didn't buy it because they were fucking broke. But he just dug into me completely.
Every salesperson ever, bro.
Yeah,
Wasn't me,
I
it
thought
was
he
the
didn't buy it. He
prospect.
was fucking broke. If he had the money, he would have bought. But he just dug into me, and like that kind of triggered a slump for me. But I just had to realize, I'm like, okay, like no, there's merit in this. Like he can sometimes having somebody review your call that you can't see, they can see things you can't see, right?
100%.
Um,
Whole reason to have a coach, right?
so with that, like I didn't respond to that criticism well, just because I held a lot of pride to that call, and that kind of triggered a slump for me. And then that helped it a couple times, but then I just started realizing, okay, let me just be open-minded and take the number one piece of feedback, implement it, and just go one implementation at a time.
Bro, I remember those calls back in the day where like we jump on and do a feedback, and it would be like you just go quiet.
Me?
Yeah. You just be like, yeah, okay. And then I remember like a few months
Because
later,
I'm like,
it's
no, I
funny.
thought I crushed it. Like this guy would have bought you out of the money, but then looking back after maturing a little bit, and maturing into space a little bit more, I'm like, no, what are you saying actually makes sense. I was just too hard at it at the time, which makes sense, man. What about so I don't know if I have like a funny or crazy slum story like that. It's just like random triggers.
That's fair. Man, when I think of like my worst slump, it's funny. I actually go back to like my door-to-door days, like way back. And I remember there was this week and it was raining. It was downpouring with rain all week. Like it was so terrible. I was like, man, like I don't want to be out here. I don't want to be doing this. What am I doing? You know? And like the team around me, everyone was kind of like dying. Like no one was on good sales. I think we're on a team of 5 of us. We're on like I don't know, like 6, 7 sales for the week, you know, and normally we'd be on like 50 to 100 by this point because we had 1 day left. And it was a Saturday. I woke up Saturday and it was still raining. It was still pissing down. And I was on 2 sales for the week. And I was like, man, I was averaging normally like 20, okay, to give you perspective back in the day. And I was like, man, okay, I can accept 2 things to be reality. The first thing I can do is I can accept that this is just how this week's going to go. I can take today off and I can just reset and be ready for Monday. I was like, or I can just go out there and have fun today. Don't care if people sign up. Don't care if people don't. Go hang out in the rain and enjoy myself. And I hate the cold weather, by the way. For anyone listening, I hate the cold weather. So that's a really hard challenge. And I was like, yeah, screw it. Let's go. My whole team was like, no, we want the day off. So they had the day off. It was me by myself. Bro, that day I did 11 sales. 11 sales in the rain in, get this, 3 hours. Half my normal day. I got 11 and I was just like,
That's
what?
probably 11 back to back though.
Oh,
Like,
literally,
pretty
bro.
close to
It was
back to back.
every second house I went to, I was
Yeah.
getting involved. I talked to, I think I talked to 20 people all day.
Yeah.
And it literally, it was just like, it was funny because the morning of, I was just like, hey, I just detached is the thing that I did. I just completely detached from it. But it was like the worst week I ever had in door to door. And I was like, oh, man, am I really going to finish this way? And I didn't want to, but I also knew if I went out there and just tried to press into it, it wasn't going to work either because I tried that all week. And it was like, okay, screw it. Let's just go have some fun. Let's go have banter. And man, I was just like, I'll be honest. Sorry if you're watching this, old manager. Like, I'd be drinking a beer with prospects at their house. You know, I was just like, oh, you got a beer, man? Saturday, you're hungover? Come here, give me one. You know, we were just chilling out. And it's funny because it ended up like saving the week, you know, and it wasn't even that bad of a week. But that was probably like the biggest come out, where it's like literally 5 days straight of like no sales. Like I said, 2 all week, and then the Saturday come out and just popped.
I think those are the best sales, man. Like those are the best sales when you've kind of just haven't been doing that well. You take a minute to reset and then you just close a deal right after the reset and after like a really let's say you're Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday, and you're working to Saturday. You open your calendar up on Saturday and you close. Like those sales just hit that dopamine rush. A sale to break out your slump just feels so fucking good. Like those sales breaking out of it feels so good, man. And one thing that I learned back in my door-to-door days and client-facing sales, and even in the remote sales, is like when it comes to slumps and not doing too well, like one thing I love about the world of sales is literally one day can change your entire week. And 1 week can change your entire month. 1 month can change your entire quarter. 1 quarter can change your entire year. Like,
Bro,
that's how sales works, man.
You know what's hilarious? It's funny you say this because one of the clients that I'm working with, literally, he will suck all month, and he does this religiously. It's actually annoying. We're trying to break it, but he does this religiously. And he works really hard the first like 3 weeks, and he gets like next to no results, and then he gets to a point where he's like, okay, I'll just like relax, and he makes all of his money commission. He makes like 10 grand in a week, and he's like, I need to just do this. And then he tries to double down on his efforts. And I'm like, no, bro, you're missing it. And then he'll like fail for 3 weeks. And then he'll release it again. He'll save the week in like the span of 4 or 5. He'll save the month in the span of like 4 or 5 days. And he's like, what's happening? I was like, bro, this is when you're actually in a good state. You just need to continue it. Stop stressing.
The fact that it's not a one-time thing and it's consistent is funny. Yeah. It's just, if it works for him, man, it works for him.
Bro, it was 3 months straight. 3 months straight. And you know what's funny too, Javid? Like, it wasn't like he was making 5K. Like, he was still making 12 to 15K a month.
Yeah.
Like, but it just came from the end of it. And it was like, what's happening, bro? What are you doing this for?
Imagine if he could, though, tap into that state he is in the last week and keep that consistent.
And that's the aspect that I think a lot of people realize is like, that's possible, you know, and that's what takes an average closer to be a great closer, is they just tap into that state long term.
Yeah.
Javid, this was a fun conversation, man. You know, I know we're just keeping it a short episode today, but yeah, anyone that is going through a slump, what's your best piece of advice for them to wrap us up?
Don't change everything. Take a step back. Go back to the basics, watch one of your close calls, and keep at it. That's my piece of advice. What about you?
Yeah, it's go watch a really successful call, because that should snap you back in pretty quick. And secondly, just take some time, like step back, create space, and give yourself grace. Like, man, if you were great once, there's no difference between the guy who did, 20 grand in a month and the guy who did 2. The only difference was their state. So create space for that state to change.
Okay. Good episode, dude.
Yeah, it was fun.
Next time.
Guys, if you like this episode, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tune in next week see what other shenanigans we get up to. We're going to have some fun.
Peace.
Peace.